Ew. With WrestleMania 41 being exactly 3 weeks away, we're going to go over my 6 favorite WrestleManias in this 6-pack, starting off with number 6, WrestleMania 3, from the Pontiac Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan. It was in 1987, and other than the Steamboat Savage match, there's not a lot of good wrestling on this show. This is I'm not rating these from best to worst. These are like my favorites, you know. This was the event that made me a wrestling fan, man. For real. That's the event that just started this whole thing for me. Main evented by Andre and Hogan. You also had the classic Steamboat and Savage match. You had a match between the Junkyard Dog and Harley Race, which 3 years previous to this would have been like a huge deal. What else did we have on there? There was a 6-man tag with the Hart Foundation and Danny Davis against the Bulldogs and Tito Santana. There wasn't a lot of great stuff on there other than the Steamboat Savage match. It's just that seeing that visual when you're like 11 years old or just turning 11. I had just turned 11 like maybe 3 weeks before this. But when you're like 11 years old and you see that visual of just so many people, it was huge. It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen. And it was like the spectacle of it that just drew me in. But it was Steamboat and Savage that kept me. Okay, number 5. WrestleMania 19, Safeco Field, Seattle. This was in 2003. And the main event was Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, and the match where Brock Lesnar damn near crippled himself, and one wrong move probably would have crippled Kurt Angle. Man, you go back and look at this knowing like the backstory of all this now, it's a scary match to watch, man. You had Hulk Hogan against Vince McMahon in a bloodbath. Just a bloodbath and a match that is way better than it had any business being whatsoever. There was the third and final WrestleMania match between The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. You had Booker T against Triple H. The Dream Match. The first ever match. The first match ever between Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho, and it was Shawn Michaels' first WrestleMania in like 5 years. Yeah, WrestleMania 19 was banging from top to bottom. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Okay, number 4. WrestleMania 20. There will be 2 WrestleManias for Madison Square Garden on this list. WrestleMania 20 came from Madison Square Garden in 2004. It was main evented with the triple threat between Chris Benoit, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. And look, if you cannot go back and watch Chris Benoit matches, I totally get it. I totally understand. But if you can, go check out that triple threat, because it's one of the better main events ever in WrestleMania history. It really is. Just phenomenal wrestling throughout that match. But we had Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle in another classic. The WrestleMania 20 was stacked, man. It really was. You had Chris Jericho against Christian. Kane versus The Undertaker. Man, Eddie Guerrero and Kurt Angle. Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho, Triple H, The Rock and Mankind against Batista, Randy Orton, and Ric Flair. WrestleMania 20 from top to bottom was stacked, man. You had John Cena's first WrestleMania in a U.S. title match against The Big Show. That opened the show, man. Yeah, go check out WrestleMania 20 from Madison Square Garden. It's a good show. Okay, my third favorite WrestleMania is back to back. We in the Garden, baby. 10 years earlier, WrestleMania 10. WrestleMania 10 was in 1994. It was okay, check this out. That year in the Royal Rumble, you had two Royal Rumble winners. It was Lex Luger and Bret Hart. Now, starting the year previous to this is WrestleMania 9 is when they started the winner of the Royal Rumble gets a title match in the main event at WrestleMania. So the previous year, it was Lex Luger and Bret Hart simultaneously winning the Royal Rumble. They went out of the ring at the same time, co-winners of the Rumble. So to solve this, they both got title matches. The winner of a coin flip would get the first title match, and the loser of the coin flip had to wrestle once at the beginning of the show and got the match and got the title match in the main event. So Luger won the coin flip, so he would get the first match against Yokozuna, the reigning champion. Luger lost by disqualification, so it's Yokozuna going on into the main event. To open the show, Bret Hart had a classic, just absolute, man, this is what a perfect wrestling match looks like. Bret Hart and Owen Hart to open the show. And man, I was shocked. Owen won that match. For real. And that just put Owen in a whole different stratosphere when Bret put his brother over. Like, it took Owen from here to here overnight, man. And it was just such a good match. So, yeah, that was also the WrestleMania that had the first ladder match on TV between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels, which just set the bar for ladder matches in the future, good or bad. But, it was just a great match. Great match. WrestleMania 10 was awesome. You had the ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon. You had the match between Bret and Owen. And this was the WrestleMania where they solidified Bret Hart as the man going forward. Okay, number 2. WrestleMania 17. This was the WWE's first stadium show in a while. Like, I think it might be the first stadium show they had since the Royal Rumble in 97 Rumble? Yeah, the 97 Rumble. And, like, that wasn't even, like, I don't know, that was a weird show. Because, like, I don't know, it didn't feel like a stadium show to me. This felt like a stadium show. This was the WWF solidifying that they were back in the mainstream in a huge, huge way. It was the last show held at the Houston Astrodome. It was big. It was real. Like, it was just from top to bottom. You're not gonna find anything bad on that show at all. Main evented by The Rock as Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Stone Cold had the heel turn and joined Vince McMahon. You had the first WrestleMania match between Triple H and The Undertaker, which I thought was their best WrestleMania match. Like, there was just so much good stuff on this show, man. From Regal and Jericho for the Intercontinental title. Man. Just star power up and down the show. It was in a huge, huge setting, and it was just great. Go back, watch WrestleMania 17. You're not going to regret it, man. Okay, and my number 1 favorite WrestleMania of all time is WrestleMania 30 from the New Orleans Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is my favorite show because this was the only WrestleMania I've attended. And yeah, it was crazy. Just walking in that building. Now, right off rip, the Superdome is a dump. For real, that building sucks. But WWE made it look great on the inside, like, of where the stadium part is. You go on the concourse and shit, like, it's just horrible. But, man, such a good show. And to be there live was just something I probably will never forget as long as I live. It was the infamous WrestleMania where The Undertaker lost his very first WrestleMania match in over 20 years. And when I tell you that crowd went silent, I swear to God, I'm sitting there. And when he lost to Brock Lesnar, there were 70-some thousand people in that building, almost 80,000 people. And you could have heard a pin drop. I swear to God. Like, I've never heard that amount of people just go silent in a second. It was crazy. It was the Daniel Bryan WrestleMania, where Daniel Bryan opened the show against Triple H, and what, other than Owen and Brett, probably the best opening match in WrestleMania history. Like, this match was phenomenal. Triple H and Daniel Bryan put it out there, man. And then Daniel Bryan closed the show in a triple threat with Randy Orton and Batista for the championship, which Daniel Bryan won, which was just a phenomenal moment to see. You also had John Cena against Bray Wyatt. Man, WrestleMania 30 was banging, and to be there live was awesome. But that's my six-pack of my favorite WrestleManias, man. What's yours? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your favorite WrestleMania moments and memories are. Give me a like, hit me with a subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the flip, man. Talk to you later.